Cain Dingle had been walking around in a haze for days, his mind clouded by worry, fear, and a lingering sadness that had been gnawing at him relentlessly. Every step he took through the village felt heavier than the last, as if the weight of the world had decided to rest on his shoulders alone. But just when the gloom threatened to swallow him entirely, a glimmer of hope arrived in the form of his closest friend. The friend, aware of Cain's emotional turmoil, had gone to great lengths to orchestrate a private meeting between Cain and Moira, his beloved wife. The reunion wasn't casual. It was meant to reignite a sense of normalcy in Cain's life, to remind him that there was a world beyond hospital corridors, cancer treatments, and the shadow of imprisonment. Cain's heart lifted the moment he saw Moira, and for a fleeting moment, he dared to imagine a life where pain and fear didn't dominate every decision. They spoke softly, sharing smiles and laughter, allowing themselves a few stolen moments of happiness that felt almost forbidden given the circumstances. But life, cruelly, is never so gentle. Just as Cain began to glimpse a future filled with promise, disaster struck. A car hurtled toward him, seemingly out of nowhere, and in an instant, his world turned upside down. He was left lying on the road, battered, bruised, and broken, a near lifeless figure under the indifferent sky. The question that haunted everyone around him was chilling. If Cain survived, what state would he be left in? Would he ever regain the strength to face the challenges ahead, or would this accident shatter the fragile hope he had finally allowed himself to feel? Meanwhile, tension simmered elsewhere in the Dales. Marlon Dingle's usually steady heart was shaken when he witnessed a scene that tore at him. His wife, Rhona, had been caught sharing a tender, intimate moment with Graham Foster. Marlon's stomach churned with a mixture of jealousy, confusion, and heartbreak. Rhona, for her part, was torn between loyalty, desire, and the growing realization that she had feelings she could no longer deny. The choice before her was agonizing. Would she remain true to her husband, or would her heart lead her elsewhere? Every glance, every hesitant touch, every stolen second carried the weight of decisions that could irreparably change the lives of everyone involved. At the hospital, another storm brewed in the life of young Jacob Gallagher. Already under immense pressure, Jacob found himself subjected to the harsh scrutiny of Dr. Todd, who had little patience for mistakes and even less sympathy for fear or uncertainty. Jacob had made a grave error, a misstep involving Dr. Todd's father, and the consequences threatened to overwhelm him completely. Kerry Wyatt, seeing the torment Jacob endured, stepped in to defend him, confronting Dr. Todd on his behalf. But her intervention, though well-intentioned, came with unintended consequences. Did her boldness shield Jacob from further harm, or had she unwittingly made his life even more complicated, stacking another layer of stress upon his already fragile shoulders? Meanwhile, the manipulations of Eric Pollard continued unabated. His influence over Kerry and Jai Sharma was subtle yet unrelenting, a web of control and deceit that left his targets scrambling to maintain some semblance of autonomy. On a parallel front, Robert Sugden, driven by his desire to see Joe Tate fall, forged a temporary alliance with Ross Barton. Their combined efforts were precise, strategic, and fueled by a shared determination to bring Joe to his knees. The stakes in this conflict were escalating rapidly, and every action carried the potential to ignite a chain reaction of unforeseen consequences. Back in the village, ordinary moments were tinged with extraordinary tension. Suspicions began to swirl when Rhona, distracted and flustered, slipped up while fabricating a story about her work. Marlon, sensing that something was amiss, followed her to Home Farm. There, he witnessed a side of Rhona he had never expected, tenderly caring for a brutally beaten Graham. The sight left him reeling, heartbreaking as he watched them share a moment of near intimacy, teetering on the edge of a kiss that could shatter their lives forever. In another corner of the Dales, Cain was navigating his own storm of emotions. Learning that Moira's murder charges might be dropped was a relief, but the shadow of ongoing legal troubles still loomed large. She was still facing prosecution for human trafficking and slavery related to Celia Daniels, and she required an MRI to monitor her health. Cain, acutely aware of the delicate balance of emotions at play, chose to keep details about his upcoming surgery from Moira. He did not want to burden her further, to add stress when she was already carrying so much. It was an act of protection, born out of love and the desire to shield her from additional pain. Meanwhile, Eric's manipulations took a more insidious turn. Faking an accident that left Kerry racked with guilt, he continued to exert subtle pressure, keeping her emotions on edge and making her question her every action. In the hospital, Liam's efforts bore fruit as he secretly orchestrated a private meeting between Cain and Moira. Their conversation was heartfelt, filled with confessions, fears, and tentative hope. Cain, opening up about his terror regarding the upcoming procedure, found solace in Moira's unwavering support. She stood firm, reassuring him that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Elsewhere, Marlon could no longer contain the torrent of emotion threatening to burst from within. He confronted Rhona directly, asking if her heart still belonged to Graham. The look on her face spoke volumes, and though she tried desperately to explain her feelings, the truth was undeniable. Later, she made her way to Graham, determined to confront her emotions head-on. Eric, meanwhile, misinterpreted a private conversation between Kerry and Jai regarding care homes. Convinced they intended to place him in one, he confronted them with anger and accusations. But the revelation that he had been aware of their relationship all along, and that his injuries were fabricated, turned the tables, leaving Kerry incandescent with fury. Tensions reached a breaking point when Dr. Todd's father suffered a cardiac arrest. Jacob, driven by instinct and concern, ignored the do not resuscitate order and performed CPR, saving the man's life. Dr. Todd, enraged by what she perceived as defiance, unleashed a torrent of criticism upon Jacob, leaving him in tears before dismissing him from the hospital. The emotional toll on Jacob was immense, and the support he required seemed increasingly out of reach. Amidst all this turmoil, Cain experienced a fleeting moment of joy. Handing his car keys to Kyle Winchester, he set off for the hospital, with hope rekindled in his heart. On the phone with Moira, he spoke of brighter days and a future filled with promise. That hope was cruelly interrupted, however, when he was struck by a car, the impact throwing his life into chaos once more. Elsewhere, Eric's actions triggered a cascade of events. After expelling Kerry from their home, he received counsel from Caleb Milligan, but reconciliation proved impossible. Kerry demanded a divorce, and her departure left Eric reeling. Meanwhile, Graham's actions stunned Marlon and Paddy Kirk as they prepared for their planned visit to Andy's man club. The aftermath of Cain's accident was immediate and terrifying. Kyle discovered Cain's broken, bruised and bloodied body on the roadside. Moira, still connected by phone, desperately tried to comprehend the situation, her panic palpable. Concerned for Jacob, Kerry sensed that far more was occurring behind the scenes than he was revealing. Determined to intervene, she confronted Dr. Todd when she discovered another harsh reprimand had been delivered. Promising not to be intimidated, she faced the doctor head-on. Emmerdale airs on weekday evenings at 8 p.m. on ITV1 and is also available for streaming on ITVX.